Hi everyone, I'm Jane Trotter and this is Accelerando Piano. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you a neat trick for remembering the letter names of the notes working backwards from middle C. It's a mnemonic which links the letter name of a note with its location on the keyboard. I found it works really well with my younger students, but anyone can give it a try. Of course, there are other strategies for linking a letter name with its corresponding keyboard position. But I found this little mnemonic is a quick and fun way for beginner students to learn the musical alphabet backwards from middle C. This comes in really handy for identifying left-hand notes, not just individually, but in sequence, particularly when students are working within the range of an octave from middle C to the C below. Now, given it's more difficult for most students to work out the musical alphabet going backwards, the majority of today's tutorial will be devoted to learning this. But as an extra bonus, I'll be throwing in a mnemonic which will work for the right-hand notes too. Today's tutorial will focus on the octaves either side of middle C. However, the same mnemonics apply for the octaves further up and down the keyboard as well. Right, here's the mnemonic for learning the musical alphabet backwards from middle C. Working our way down from C, we have chirpy birds and green frogs eat donuts. So, if a student needs to find an F, they start at C, simply say the phrase, and each word corresponds to a key in descending order. Chirpy, birds, and green frogs. Easy peasy. But we don't have to stop there. Linking a note's letter name and location on the keyboard to where it's found on the stave is equally as straightforward. In the same way we go down a key on the keyboard with each word, we do the same on the stave. So, if a student has to work out this note as their starting note of a piece, they would say the phrase working backwards from C and stop when they reach the note. Chirpy, birds, and green. It's a G. Then, to find that note on the keyboard, just start at C, think of the same phrase, and go down the keys. Chirpy, birds, and green. Now, I couldn't just make up a mnemonic for the left hand only. That wouldn't be fair. So here's one for working out the right hand notes going up from middle C. Colourful, dancing, elephants float gracefully above buildings. Of course, this is a little easier as the letter names are essentially in alphabetical order, C through to G, and then we begin again at A. But my students still like reciting the mnemonic just for fun, and they've commented that it helps them get a sense of where everything is. Here are the notes written on the stave. As the notes move up by step, we say the next word in the phrase. All of the slides I've used in this tutorial can be downloaded from the resources page on my Accelerando Piano website. You're very welcome to try them out and use them as a reference anytime you like. As I mentioned earlier on, there are other methods for working out the letter names of the notes, both in terms of linking the letter name with the location on the keyboard or linking the letter name with the location on the stave. I have a couple of other tutorials covering these, which you can dive into. The first, Keyboard Geography and Note Names, takes a look at the layout of the keyboard and shows you how to navigate your way around using the black keys as a reference to determine the names of the white keys. The second, Note Naming, How Does Every Good Boy Deserve Fruit Work, introduces some other mnemonics which group the notes on the stave into line notes and space notes. These phrases help link a note's letter name with its location on the stave. It's important to remember that all of these various strategies have more to do with note naming rather than note reading. No, I'm not just getting hung up on semantics. It's an important distinction. Note naming tends to analyse notes more on an individual, discrete basis, whereas note reading is more inclusive, focusing on the patterning, direction, and distances between the notes as they occur in the music. Generally, you can read the notes faster than you can name them. However, initially, you do need to be able to work out where everything is and get your bearings, both in terms of finding the notes on the keyboard and progressively understanding the notes on the stave. Using mnemonic tools like the Chirpy birds will help with that process, giving you a framework and foundation upon which you can begin to read your notes quickly and confidently.